Welcome along to the show where Southern Steel Vice-Captain Wendy Frew reflects on round 3 of the ANZ Championship, including of course a look back on the loss to the Thunderbirds and a look forward to the all-important clash with the Pulse, who are the only New Zealand team to win a Trans-Tasman clash in the rivalry round. The Mystics were never in it against the Firebirds, nor were the Tactics any kind of threat to the Vixens, and the much talked about loss by the Magic to the Fever provided a blow to the reigning champs in more ways than one. All right, Winnie, let's reflect on the weekend performance. A great start to the game, one of your best, if I can say that, but second quarter they come back at you hard.
Yeah, they had a great second quarter. I think what they done really well was come and they, at the quarter break, they looked at what we were doing well and they changed their whole game plan, and we were probably guilty of not adjusting to what they changed out there on the court. What
did they see in your game that prompted a change?
I think our centre pass D was really strong. They were having a lot of trouble getting out and they were starting quite close together. So they were, we were holding it up quite well, and then they split a lot more and one off the line, one on the line and stuff like that. And just, I think our hunger in the first quarter is really good and they brought that hunger in the second quarter.
So at half time, what was said really to counter their counter?
Yeah, I guess we just wanted to get back to basics and limit the turnovers. We had a lot of turnovers in that second quarter, and a lot of them were us being, bad placement of passing and stepping and breaking and just little things like that. So it was more our things that we needed to fix. So coming out to the third quarter, our goal was just to stick to the basics and make sure we do that well.
They're quite a clever team, aren't they?
Yeah, their game plan was great. I mean, as we talked about, the first quarter we sort of dominated them, and all it takes is a 5-minute team talk to change your plans and go to plan B, and they come out firing and they just really analyse what we're doing, and I guess caught us off guard a wee bit in terms of us not adapting enough in that second quarter.
But you did rally later and got closer and closer, but not able to quite bridge that gap.
Yeah, I guess if you look at the game, losing that second quarter 21-8, that just killed us. We pretty much won the rest of the quarters and, scored some quick goals and stuff like that. So it just comes, unfortunately, down to probably a 5-minute lapse, and that's how you lose the games in netball these days.
If you look at the shooting stats, ours were very high and theirs were lesser, so they obviously produced more chances at goal.
Yeah, they did have a lot more shots, and I think once again that second quarter they put up a lot more than us, and with us only scoring 8 goals, it's pretty tough to compete. So our shooting stats have certainly been great, and they'll be probably a little disappointed with their numbers, but they won the game at the end of the day, so it's the way it goes.
But positive, you've often been criticised, the Steel, for being slow starters, and got over that one.
Yeah, we've got over that, but I think the last 2 weeks our second quarters has been our worst quarter, and it's been awful. So to start well and then play like that in the second quarter, really disappointing, and it's certainly something we don't want it to carry on and play. I mean, I guess these days it's hard to play 60 minutes of good solid netball and without mistakes, and you are going to make mistakes, but we've got to limit the mistakes we make and not make it be such a lapse in one quarter.
They were pretty fired up too because they wanted to make amends for the week before.
Yeah, we talked about that with the girls. We knew they were going to come out firing. To lose by that much, they would have been disappointed, and no one expected them to lose by that much to the Vixens, so we knew they'd be training hard that week, and they certainly wouldn't be coming into the game lightly. So yeah, we're well aware of that as a team. What
about the defence end? A little bit of shuffling there. Do you think you were able to shut them down eventually?
I think at times we shut them down really well, but they're a great attack end and a few internationals there, so at times we're good, but I think as a D unit we're just a bit guilty of not getting enough turnovers, and we need to create ways to get some more interception, deflections and tips.
It shows you got to be consistent throughout a whole game to compete in this grade.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at all the results from the weekends and the first 3 rounds, it's just crazy. Like, you can't have a lull. You can't go into a game taking any game lightly in this competition. I think that's the great thing about it, but as a player, it's really challenging.
We'll look at a couple of those results. This is Monday, so we don't know how the Pulse have got on, but we do know the Mystics are just really finding this year very tough indeed.
Yeah, I think they'll be disappointed. I think they've lost 2 players, but they've still got some really good players there, and I think they probably should be performing a wee bit better. And to lose the games by so much, they'll be really, really devastated with that, and they're going to really have to have a good look at the drawing board and improve on that.
Now, the Fever are hard to follow. They started off poorly, they thrashed the Mystics, and then they've come up with a big scalp.
Yeah, it's interesting, the Fever. The last year, everyone sort of took it a bit easy on them, but this year they've had a bit of a favourite tag to a certain degree, I suppose. But yeah, they've just got to, I guess, play consistent netball. They've had 2 great wins, so they're pretty hard at home to beat with the travel over there. And yeah, it's a pretty good atmosphere in Fever when you play there.
And Magic had a few complaints about some of the physicality, but that's coming back into discussion this year after perhaps being in the background the last couple of years. How are you finding it?
Oh, I think netball has changed. It's a lot more physical, but I think you've just got to get on with it. I mean, the umpires are trying as best as they can, and they call everything they see. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's sort of just the way the game's heading. But
do you think there's a little bit of intimidation trying to, push the limits?
I guess any player who's a smart netball player will always try to push the boundaries, and if they're getting away with something, I guess you keep doing it. But I guess at times it does take away from the skill of the game, but I guess everyone's doing it. It's just the way it is.
If you look at your record so far, I know there's a few losses in there, but they've all been close losses, so nobody's really put you to the sword.
Yeah, it's sort of unfortunate. Like, we've just had those 2 losses and 9 and 6 goals, and it's you're right up there, but it's just a few errors that caused that loss. So for us, we're sort of on track, but we would have liked to come away with probably 1 out of those 2 wins. But this weekend will be a good one against the Pulse, and hopefully we can make it 2 out of 4.
Well, if you look at the record so far, it suggests that the Magic, Pulse and Steel are probably the most competitive of the New Zealand teams overall. So winning this match has taken on an extra meaning. Yeah,
it certainly is. The Pulse are a great side, and it's going to be a huge battle out there. They've got some great players and some pretty good friends of mine in there, so it's going to be different coming up against them. But yeah, I guess Magic are probably on form at the moment. They're probably just ahead of us, in the Pulse. So it'll sort of at the moment determine who's sort of that number 2 in New Zealand with the results so far.
We don't know, as I said, we don't know how the Pulse will fare this weekend, but just on paper they're just going to be tough every week.
Yeah, they are. They've got a great side, and I think Robbie's known for gelling a good team together. So hopefully they can get the win tonight over the Swifts and go from there.
We look at a couple of other standout performances just from the weekend. Another good game from Janelle. She just seems to deliver every week now.
Yeah, she's a good player. She's got a lot of skill, and she's a great athlete, and she's really training hard and trying really hard. So it's cool to see, and she's certainly strong in the back for us, and she's really developing, as you said, week in, week out. So I'm sure by the end of the season she's going to be even a more of a threat than what she is now.
Do you think she's getting marked as you suspected she might? Do you think teams have worked her out and how to close it down?
Yeah, I think the Thunderbirds had a great destructure in the weekend. Obviously, tactics, we got away with a lot more lob balls and stuff into Janelle, but this weekend it wasn't as open as much, so they'd certainly done their homework. And I think the more games she has, the more video footage other teams are going to have, so we've got to certainly change things up a wee bit.
And Courtney seems to be getting back into form.
Yeah, Courts is it's pretty tough coming off her ACL reconstruction, so she's been training hard in the off season, and I think at times she's probably a little disappointed with where she's at, but she's playing pretty consistent netball for us, and that's what we want to see. And I think given her injuries just last year, and she's had 3 full games, she's doing well. And
after another decent hit out, your fitness?
Yeah, no, really happy with how things are going. At the start, it was just good against the tactics, it was good to get nearly a full game just to see how the legs go and the lungs and that, so it was all good. And just got a half on the weekend, so just keep chipping away.
So this is the reason you took you some time off. It was a good chance to introduce the new member of the family. Got anything to say about your mum? Oh, you look very confused.
He normally likes the camera.
He's extraordinarily well behaved, would you?
Yeah, he's been pretty good. I can't complain. I thought he might cause a bit of trouble, but no, he quite enjoys the camera, I think. Loves the attention.
The Magic dropping points in Perth saw them displaced at the top of the ladder, with the unbeaten Vixens and Firebirds usurping them. The Fever, who started so poorly in round 1, now proving that may just have been an early season blip. The Thunderbirds loom as a threat to the top 4, and a superior goal differential keeps the Steel ahead of the Pulse. But we all know the result of the matches between these 2 New Zealand franchises could well determine their respective finals fate.